My blinds are driving me crazy, but I just could not be bothered to get up right now. I'm pretty sure this is... Sorry, that's Oliver. Oliver, a moment, please. Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. Happy Cinco de Mayo, because today is Cinco de Mayo, so I am wearing my Tacoholic hat, which is from Brennan and Cora. I'll leave it linked down below for you guys, which by the time you see this, it will be Wednesday, so it won't be Cinco de Mayo anymore. But why does it need to be Cinco de Mayo to wear a hat talking about tacos? I don't know. So for today's video, I figured that I would do a top 10 favorite brushes video. Somebody actually left a comment suggesting like, oh, why don't you do a video of the brushes that you use like every single time you do your makeup? And I was like, that's a great idea. I don't think I've ever done that before. So that is what I will be showing you guys today. These aren't just like random brushes. These are the brushes that I use every single time I do my makeup. Pretty much all of these are not going to be a surprise to you. You're going to be like, oh, I've seen her use that, I've seen her use that, I've seen her use that. Because I am a creature of habit and I like using the same stuff over and over again. Like I always say, if it ain't broken, I don't need to fix it. If I like the way a brush works, I don't need to try a new one. I am perfectly okay with using what I use, and that's it. Before we get started, I just wanted to mention my nail color is from a nail gel like kit that I bought that has a whole bunch of different colors. I'll leave it linked down below for you guys. My hat, like I said, is Brennan and Cora. All of my bracelets, for the most part, are Brennan and Cora, minus this dainty one that is from Catbird. This one is from Brennan and Cora as well, but it is sold out. My necklace is also Brennan and Cora. This is still available, so I'll leave it linked down below. And my tank is Brennan and Cora as well, which we are restocking. This is our essential tank. We have it in black and white, and we will be restocking it, and it will be a part of like our full like permanent collection. Now that that's out of the way, I'm gonna go ahead and get into my favorite brushes. So I'm gonna start first with my face brushes. So you guys know, for the most part, I do not use a brush for my foundation. I prefer a sponge. Always, it doesn't matter what it is. I just like the way my foundation lays better because I have dry skin. When I put a foundation on with a brush, I notice that it just sits on top of my skin no matter how much I buff, no matter how good the brush is, no matter what brand, it just does not sink into my skin. And because I have drier skin, I don't like my foundation to look different than my skin. I want it to all look the same. I use a sponge for that, and I don't have a favorite foundation brush because I don't use a foundation brush. However, I do have a favorite powder brush, and you guys know I use the Sephora Micro Smooth Baked Face Powder every single day. It is my favorite powder, and to apply that powder, I always use my Sephora Pro Air brush. This is the number 55, I believe. The number is like rubbed off. Yeah, the number was here, but it's rubbed off. This is my favorite brush to put on powder. This is technically a foundation brush, like a liquid foundation brush, to give you like a really seamless like airbrush finish, but I prefer it for powder. I like the size of it. I like how soft it is. It is synthetic bristles, so I love that as well, and I just love the way it puts on my powder. It is the only brush really that I use for my powder. Every once in a while I'll like grab a different one, but I could throw all the rest of my powder brushes away and still be fine as long as I have the number 55. It is my favorite. It's nice and soft. The size is perfect. I don't like a brush that's too big for my foundation, and I definitely don't like something that's too small because you guys know I move very quickly. I don't want to sit there and only be able to cover tiny little spaces. I want to just be like boom, 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 and be done. So Pro 55 is my fave. Next, I'm going to talk about a bronzer brush. I have two bronzer brushes that I'm going to talk about. One of them, both of them you guys have seen me use a bajillion times. One of them is the Morphe M406. This is my dual fiber brush, and this is what I use to put on certain bronzers. Like I have different brushes for different bronzers, but for every single day I love this. This puts on your bronzer so diffused. I don't like anything to be super concentrated on my face. I like for everything to kind of look like it's one. I don't like it to look like I have bronzer and then blush and then highlight. I like everything to just kind of melt together, and when I put my bronzer on with this, it is just like seamless. It's undetectable. You can't see it on your skin. It's just bronze, and I love it so much. It's very affordable as well. I just love it. This is definitely like, if I had to pick one bronzer brush, it would be this one. Now my other bronzer brush is the Morphe M530, which is this one. So you can see as far as the shape, one is smaller than the other. This one is smaller by a lot. This one is natural hair, whereas this is dual fiber. So they're very different, and this one I like for other bronzers, and I like this because it's a little bit smaller, so I'm able to like really get in there and like chisel my cheek if I want that look. I'm not much of like a contour type of person. I bronze, I never contour. I don't use contour shades. I use bronzer and I use fluffier brushes, but if I want something a little bit more chisel, I'll use this one. This one is a little bit rougher in texture, but sometimes I like brushes like that, and it's still nice and fluffy, so it doesn't take me forever to bronze. Like you can see, like I can still throw my bronzer on really quickly, go over my nose, do all that. But yeah, I like both of these so much. Definitely my two favorite bronzer brushes. Next is my favorite blush brush. And sometimes, I'm not gonna lie, when I'm using my bronzer brush, I'll just dip in and I go into my blush brush. Like I always mentioned, I'm very quick. I don't like to sit there and spend hours on my makeup. I truly don't. It's not something that's fun for me. I like being ready. I don't like the process of getting ready. It just takes too long and I can't be bothered. I'm not much of like a perfectionist and like a stickler when it comes to stuff like that. I throw on my makeup and I'm out the door. Like I don't, if it takes me more than 30 minutes, I don't want to do it. So sometimes I will use my bronzer brushes for my blush, and then there are other times, which is most times, I will use the Morphe E4. This is a slanted brush, and Sephora Collection actually has a brush exactly like this. I used to use it in my brush belt when I worked at Sephora. So you can see there's blush on here because this is what I use, and it literally just like stamps the cheeks perfectly because it's angled. It's perfect. It doesn't apply too much product because I don't like my cheeks to be super flush, but it leaves me the perfect amount. I have my hat on, so I'm sure it's kind of hard to see. It just leaves the perfect amount and it's the perfect shape. I love it. It picks up just the right amount of product. It never gives me too much, and I just love it. I love the size, I love the shape. Compared to my bronzer brush, there you can see this one is angled, whereas this one is more like rounded. This, I'm sure a lot of people would like for contouring or bronzing, but I don't. I just like this for blush because I just put it like right on the apples of my cheeks. Now I'm going to talk about highlighter brushes, and I really only use these two. I never use anything else, and depending on the highlighter that I use, I will switch the brush. So for more pressed highlighters, if I want something very beaming and intense, I will use the Morphe M510, which is this one right here. I figure if I put it over here, you can see it against the white background. This one is a lot smaller, as you can see, and it's good to like really pinpoint where you want your highlighter. Does that help? Maybe, I guess. I should have done that in the beginning. But yeah, this really helps you pinpoint where you put your highlighter because it's so much smaller, and you can literally get like on the apples of your cheeks. You can do all that. So I really like this brush for that. And then my Morphe M310, which I think everybody has this brush. It is the Morphe fan brush. You can see it's covered with highlighter. I like this for loose highlighters. I love it for highlighters that are just like very intense, but I don't want them to be intense. I will use this. I used this one today because I was using a Artist Couture highlight, and I don't like to use this for that because it picks up more product than this does. So I like this brush when I want very dispersed product, when I don't want too much product like focused in one area. I'll use this because it literally, like, it makes it so easy because of the way that you brush back and forth. It makes it really easy to go down your nose here. It's just a really easy brush to use. I love it, and it is something that I use pretty much every single day. Now I have the two brushes that I use for my like shaping out my brows, and I don't know if that's like super extra. I don't know if it's like super extra, but I have two brushes that I use to shape out my brows. When I do my everyday, like really simple, just going to work makeup, I don't do this step. But if I'm doing like a full thing where I want my eyebrows cleaned up, or if I haven't plucked my eyebrows in a while, I will use this brush first. And this is a Morphe M432. This is a flat shader brush. And a lot of people use this to like smoke out their lower lash line, but I like it to clean underneath my brows because it is a sharp edge. So I use this, I go right underneath, I shape out my eyebrow, and then I go in with this brush, which is the Morphe E22. And I'm not sure if you're able to tell, but it kind of like points at the end. So I use this to literally clean and like blend that down and like just make sure that there's no like super intense like underneath my brows. And I just love the way this diffuses that product. It works so well, and it's nice and small in the point, so it gets really close under here without like blending it into your brow product, if you know what I mean. It's happened to me plenty of times. So I love this brush for that. I actually used to use this brush for contouring my nose, but I just can't be bothered to do any contouring at all anymore. I really don't care. My nose, she's chubby, she's fine. I don't even care anymore. So I've just been using these two brushes for specifically underneath my eyebrows. Now I have two eyeshadow brushes to talk about, and the reason that I only have two is because one, I like complexion and focus on complexion more than I focus on my eyes. You guys know I can literally do my full complexion and then liner and lashes and be out the door. Like, I'm good with that. It's very rare that I do eyeshadow, especially anymore. For special occasions and stuff, I love doing eyeshadow, and I love playing with colors and playing with formulas and glitters and shimmers and mattes. But even when I do those, I always use these two brushes. One of them is the Morphe M433, And this brush is very special because it is fluffy when you look at it this way, but when you turn it to the side, it's kind of pinched and then it puffs up. So it makes it really easy to work in your crease and blend. But then if you want to like concentrate product, you can turn it and like really make sure you get your outer corners. This is a great brush if you just want to use one brush for your entire eye. I can literally take this brush and dip in, do my transition color, dip in, do my outer corner, and I can even use this, like let's say if I want like a really diffuse shimmer on my eyelids, because this isn't so densely packed as a shader brush, this you can literally just dust it and be done. And the reason that I don't have a flat shader brush or like a packing brush in this section is because when I use shimmers, I like my finger. I just prefer my finger. I think it looks so much better. It blends the product easier. So I use my finger for that step. So I have to mention this. This is very similar to the MAC, I don't know what it's called because I don't have any MAC brushes, but this is like the exact dupe of a specific MAC brush that a lot of people love. But this one is the Morphe M433 and I love it. So the last brush I have is like such a multi-purpose brush, and that's why I'm mentioning it, and it's the Morphe M562, and it is this tiny, tiny little detailed brush. I love this brush for so many reasons. When I do my outer corner, I like really getting in there, and I have very small eyelids. I have hooded lids, so I don't have a lot of space to work with, and if I use a brush that is too large, it will completely swallow my eye. So anytime you're working in a small space, you want to use a smaller brush. So whenever I'm working in like my outer corner, whenever I do a halo eye that I want the inner corner to be like the same color as the outer corner, I'll use this because it is not super dense. Granted, it is a denser brush than something like this, but this brush is still fluffy. So when I put it on, it still diffuses as I'm putting color on. I also love this brush for under here because again, it's very small, and when you're working in areas that are really, really tiny, you want something that's little. So that's why I love this brush. This is like these two brushes for my eyes, I could not live without. I have a ton of like fluffy crease brushes, and I have tiny detailer brushes, and I have flat shader brushes. I have so many. I have this plus so much more, but if I had to choose the ones that I like would not do my eyeshadow without, it would definitely be these two. All right guys, so that is all the brushes that I wanted to show you guys. I know this video wasn't super long, but I really wanted to narrow it down to the 10 brushes that I use all the time, that I could not live without, that I love, 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 and that I would highly recommend to anyone that either needs brushes, wants good brushes, wants not a massive kit, because realistically a lot of people don't need a million brushes. So these are definitely my top 10 picks. I will leave them all linked down below for you guys. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed this, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.